So who sits on the front line anyway? I mean, what are they protecting? Antoinette, why don't you tell me?
Well, the people that are protecting the company, the organization, the data, the information, those are the people that actually care. Those are our supply chain soldiers.
It's like going to battle every day.
Absolutely.
So let's talk about a day in the life of a supply chain soldier. Antoinette, you've done this before. Who is this person? Who is a supply chain soldier?
This is somebody that actually takes the time to think about who their ecosystem is, right, in their organization. What are the different companies that they partner with? And we're not talking just about, oh, the power company, oh, the communications. We're talking about HVAC. We're talking about the security solutions. We're talking about where we're getting our parts from. We're talking about where's the data sitting, right? Where's our data sitting to our vendors? It's such a big ecosystem. It's not just about one thing. It's not about where do we get this little chipset from.
And the thing that we got to talk about here is that supply chain soldiers aren't necessarily those people that just have supply chain risk or the risk assessor in their title, because you've got organizations that could be as small as a one-man band, right? Or as large as a multinational, and they're constantly working with these third parties, these vendors, these suppliers, these partners. So what would you say to those people that don't have supply? Like I'm the CEO of a startup, go figure. I'm the CEO of a startup. We don't have a dedicated supply chain risk organization, but we take certain precautions when we're working with vendors and third parties. How can you help those that don't have supply chain risk in their title?
Absolutely.
How can they associate with being a supply chain soldier?
This is perfect. So first of all, you don't have to be the risk assessor. You don't have to be the security person. You don't have to be the IT person. Because as far as I'm concerned, any person that's in an organization should be a supply chain soldier, right? We all interact with data. We all interact with various different parts of our vendor organization. So it's everyone's responsibility. It's the the receptionist who answers the phone, the person who does data entry. It's the person who is working on tech support, right? If you have a tech support organization, because every single person in the organization is part of that supply chain, right? We're all part of that protection. I take my laptop, I go home and I work on my home network and I've got customer data on it. That's all part of that ecosystem. So we all have to be responsible.
Right. So where do you think, we all do training, and we get told, don't answer the door to someone that you don't know, etc. Right. There's these fundamentals that we tell our children, but at the same time, when you've got an organization and you're the receptionist, or you're the IT help desk person, or you're the COO of an organization, what do you think that person needs to think about how can that person think about as themselves as a supply chain soldier?
Well, we all get that don't click on this email link, right? Training. And it's usually a 1 hour a year. We go and we do this video and everybody checks the box. And it's really more than that. It is understanding how what we do in our daily lives has to be really thought through. We can't just try to get this done in order to get it done and put it away. We have to be cognizant. We have to be diligent. There's no other way around it. It's really incorporating that into your everyday life. Sometimes I feel like I'm freaking Chicken Little running around screaming, the sky is falling, because it's so blaringly obvious to me, right? But most companies, the most important thing is the bottom line, right? And so if we're not building this program, we're not building this culture around security, because that's really what it is. It's a culture. Then maybe it doesn't necessarily affect the bottom line in terms of bringing in revenue, but I can promise you that if you don't develop this culture of security, it's going to affect your bottom line to the point where it could put you out of business, right? And that's really what it comes down to.
And I think the supply chain soldiers need to know that the supply chain isn't just the next third party. It's also their third parties and their third parties and their third parties. So we're almost asking the supply chain soldiers to get their special supply chain binoculars out, right? Like they're on the front line, they're in the trenches, and they can see this, the third party coming. Well, who's that third party being supported by?
Perfect.
Right? Who's that third party being supported by? What does that third party look like? What does that fourth party look like? What does that fifth party look like? So let's now say that now we're arming the supply chain soldier with their first piece of equipment in their tool belt, right? The binoculars. What do you think the second piece of equipment we should arm them with is?
I think the second piece, so the binoculars are to see the distance. The next thing is a magnifying glass, right?
Okay.
Really pay attention, start to scrutinize things. We've got to hold people accountable. And I think what you said is really, really important. So I'm going to reiterate it. It's harder to attack an organization that has this culture of security, right? So we've got our supply chain soldiers. They're driving this culture, but the companies that they're working with that are all around them, and then those companies that are around them, if they don't have that same culture, then that's where the weakest link is going to be. That's where the attacker is going to go. It's going to be easier to get through that other system to get into your system. So next thing is a magnifying glass. You got to pay attention. You've got to scrutinize and hold people accountable.
So I'm gonna bring up the next piece of equipment that I think they should have in their tool belt, and that's a map. Because ultimately, when you've got your binoculars out, you can see out. You scrutinize with your magnifying glass, but then you have to make sure that you've mapped all of this out so that you can actually visually see how third parties and fourth parties and fifth parties are connected, because we know that ultimately the supply chain doesn't end. So like that map is important. What do you think the next piece of equipment is?
Oh man, now you're killing me.
So I already
megaphone. Wait, it's going to be a megaphone. It's going to be a megaphone.
You beat me to it. I was actually going to say flare.
So the next piece of equipment is the megaphone. And the reason why is because they have to be vocal about this. They have to tell everyone that's going to listen. They've got to make sure that people understand. And you've got to relate to them. You've got to make them understand in ways that it's going to click. Okay. It's not just about, well, don't click on that link because bad things are going to happen. What are those bad things? Right? What could actually happen? How are we going to be held accountable? And how is our organization's reputation at risk? Right? Most people, I hope, are proud to be where they are, right? Proud to work at the company or the organization they're working at. I don't want to be that guy. I don't want to be the one that everybody points to and says that idiot clicked on whatever, or that idiot hired that company and then their stuff got onto our network. I don't want to be that guy, right? Like that's it.
Right. So now we've got a pair of binoculars, magnifying glass, map, megaphone. We've got to get them a really big utility belt. They're gonna be like Batman kind of style. I think that the next piece of equipment that they need to have is a calendar. Because if you're not doing things periodically, you haven't got things on a schedule, you haven't got accountability from a time perspective, you're going to be, things are going to creep up, and before you know it, you're going to get smacked down either from the third party or one of their third parties, or from someone within your own organization that needs to get something done on time.
Yeah.
So that utility belt is, I think that the supply chain soldiers that are listening to this, I don't think that any supply chain organization that I've ever worked for has given me a pair of binoculars, a magnifying glass, a map, a megaphone, and a calendar.
Wait, don't forget the helmet, because this shit ain't easy. You're going to get beat up. You are going to get smacked down. You're going to be told it doesn't matter, but you've just got to be fortified, right? You've got to put that helmet on.
So those supply chain soldiers. So now that we've got the toolkit, how do you think the supply chain soldier prepares themselves for battle every day?
Well, first of all, you need to be educated. Like that's the most important thing. You have to stay up with the latest trends. You have to find out what's going on. You know, hackers work far faster than anybody else, right? They're always one step ahead. And so you need to know what's on your network. You have to be educated, and you have to grow these partnerships within your organization. There's no more siloed communication. You can't do it anymore. This siloed communication is going to be the bane of everyone's existence. You've got to all band together. You've got to recruit more soldiers within your organization, right? It's not just about you knowing what you're supposed to do, because if nobody else is doing it, then it doesn't matter, right? So you're going to recruit people within your organizations so that you can all work together. And I think on that calendar, you need to not only evaluate risk on a periodic basis, but you also need to come together with your team, and you need to make sure that everybody's kind of aware of any changes, any new systems, any new suppliers, any new partnerships that you're working with. That's all kind of got to be mapped out on the map.
Well, and you know, and I think that one of the things that is severely overlooked is, and this is just coming from experience, one of those things that's severely overlooked is the reoccurring evaluation of that map internally within the organization. Like, you know, we've seen network maps, we've seen DMZs, we've seen like multi-tiered architectures from a network perspective or even a physical perspective. But what we're not doing is we're not saying this is a safe zone, this is dangerous, uncharted territory. Unfortunately, those supply chain soldiers have got these for want of better expression, right? These missiles coming at them all angles, and they're just having to fend them off like whack-a-mole style. I think enabling, you know, if we can go some way in enabling those supply chain soldiers with some tips, tricks, techniques to be able to not just command their soldiers, their direct soldiers, but command the oncoming supply chain and also the business command. Hopefully we can make them rest a little bit better at night.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think you just hit something really important. Not only do you need your champions within your organization, but you need your champions and your partners, right? And then they have to champion within their organizations to then do the same thing for their suppliers and down the line. And I think that the more we recruit, the more we talk, the more we're passionate about it, right? Chicken Little, run around like crazy person. I think that people will get it. People are good. They have to get it, because if you don't get it, then you're going to be victimized, and nobody's immune, right? Like no matter how much you champion for this and no matter how prepared you think you are, nobody's immune from attacks. It's no one's impenetrable. The government's not, no security organizations are. I know that there's some cybersecurity organizations that have also been hacked, and books have been written about it, right? So I think it's important to be prepared. And then the next step would be business continuity and response. How are we going to respond to it? And then how are we going to continue our business?
So let's talk about that be prepared bit. So someone watching this has realized that they're a supply chain soldier, and they've just been landed in the role. This could be a seasoned executive, or it could be someone that is a new entrant to their career. Where does someone go to get prepared to be a supply chain soldier?
Well, it differs per organization, right? So we've got to, first of all, you have to kind of communicate with your executives. If you're an entry kind of new person to an organization, maybe communicate with the executives and find out what their plan is, right? Do they have a program? If they don't have a program, then you're starting from scratch. But if there is a program, be familiar with what your organization's program is. And, if you're an executive, and you communicate with other people within the organization, and you find out that there's, some stuff going on over here, you really need to kind of educate yourself within the organization. If you're just starting out, I think education is the most important part.
And I think, if someone that is, has now self-identified as a supply chain soldier doesn't have a structured program in their organization, I would say that the best thing to do is reach out to other professionals, reach out to us. We can help you put you in touch with groups or resources. We're actually going to put together a list of resources that people can go to, but also look within your community, because there are people that will be seasoned professionals who can share some war stories with you. You know, we talk about war stories all the time, and it's only soldiers that go to war, right?
Absolutely.
You know, and I think once someone identifies a supply chain soldier, Antoinette, how do you think that we're going to help them prepare them for battle?
I think by talking about those examples, right? Talking about, I love you love to talk about the train wreck. Like,
Right.
what has happened? Where
Yeah.
have the big mistakes happened? I mean, there are so many large organizations that have been through hell, right, and back when it comes to attacks in the supply chain. And
Yeah.
it's both from a software side, but also from a hardware side.
Right. And I think it's also not just the large organizations. I think, you know, the smaller organizations need to know where they fit in that supply chain, because it's not just the large guys that get impacted, it's also the smaller guys. So I think if there are questions, there are comments, feel free to leave them in the comments below. But from a learning perspective, what we want to be able to share with our supply chain soldiers are real world examples, real world horror and war stories, and tips and tricks for protecting them while they're bringing on a new role as being a supply chain soldier.
Absolutely. Make sure you subscribe, because you're going to want to catch the different examples and the next big thing, I guess. And yeah.
That was Hashing Out the Supply Chain. Boom, live.
Love it.